Dear MAGA follower, I am not here to judge you. I am not here to criticize you, and I am certainly not here to gloat. Why? Because wherever you are in your MAGA trajectory, I have been through my own version of that experience. I too believed in not a political leader, but a spiritual teacher who also believed that he was God, or perhaps even greater than God, and who believed that only he knew the way, only he could save us, only he could teach me what I needed to know. I have been a true believer. I have been the person who spouted those beliefs to others, who involved others, who hurt my family, who hurt my community, and eventually involved hundreds of other people in a devious and twisted spiritual financial scheme. I understand how you can get so lost that you stick up for things that in the light of day you would know without a doubt weren't true. I've had my doubts, or I did have my doubts, and I buried them. I buried them by proving my loyalty to my spiritual teacher, to my leader, to the man that I had chosen to follow. And to doing this with hubris and with pride. And I have seen the crash of that spiritual teacher. When I first saw him again after not seeing him for many years, yes, believe it or not, this whole scheme was carried out when I didn't see the man who was masterminding it for many years. When I first saw him after many years, I realized that he was in a terrible physical, mental, and emotional decline. He looked like a man who'd been living on the streets. He wore the same coat every day. He couldn't control his bowel movements. He slurred his words. He was nothing like the dynamic, vivacious bull of a man that I had followed naively and foolishly in the early days. Still, even after I saw this decline in him, I could not bear to face the truth of what I had believed in. I could not bear to face the truth that he was not going to be able to deliver on the many promises that he had made to me and implicitly to others. He wasn't like Donald Trump, and he was like Donald Trump. He didn't promise to build a wall. He promised to build a stairway to heaven. He promised that he alone knew the intricate pathway on the spiritual quest, and that he alone could teach us, could teach me. Does that sound familiar? And it was only when things completely crashed, when his physical deterioration, his mental deterioration, and the underlying corruption that had always been there was finally shoved so clearly in my face that I could no longer avoid it, that I finally began to come to terms with what had happened and what I had been participating in. So I understand. I have compassion and empathy and understanding that this can happen. we can follow someone. I was a reasonably successful person before this whole thing happened. I had what might have looked like from the outside like a good life, even a great life. But perhaps like you, who have followed Trump and MAGA, I knew that there was something wrong. I knew that there was something missing. I knew that there was something rotten at the core. So when someone came along and promised something better, in my naivete, in my immaturity, in my foolishness, I followed him. And what I'm here to say today is that I'm living proof that this can happen to anyone. And I am living proof that you can come out the other side of this. You can re-inhabit your own truthfulness, your own integrity, no matter how deeply you may have been compromised. It may not be, and in my experience, it certainly will not be, a snap of the fingers. It doesn't happen like that. But the sooner you can begin to face the truth of what you have agreed to, of what you have aligned with, that you have followed someone who is not telling the truth, who has never in his life been a man of truth. I did the same thing. Excuse me. And somehow I fell into this trap, this devious, and it was a very gradual trap. I don't know what it was like for you, but for me, it was a very gradual trap of believing that somehow the greater good could be achieved even through deceitful means, even by hiding things, even by not fully facing up to the deviousness of what was always going on. I didn't face that until I absolutely had to. I was so invested in this illusion, in this man, in this belief that things would get better. I see it in MAGA now. I see, well, it's coming. He's still going to do it. He's still what we believed in. I did the same thing. I don't blame you. I understand. But I can tell you from experience, the decline, the physical, mental decline of the health of the person you have been following does not end well. And the sooner you can find it within you to self-reflect, to look at what you have followed, to look at what you have been being told, to look at how you have been deceived. Tyrants manipulate us. We have our own culpability. I had my own culpability. I went to prison for what I did. We all have our own culpability and our own responsibility. But tyrants manipulate. Tyrants use you for their own purposes. Tyrants do not care what happens to you in the end. In the end, for me, when I was in court telling the story of what happened, what did my spiritual teacher, a man I had believed who was highly spiritually evolved and way beyond me on the spiritual path, what did he do? He allowed his attorneys to say, well, Mac Parker is a storyteller, so we know he must be lying. And this man who had told me that he always tells the truth, and truth is the heart of spiritual practice, the man who had bullshitted his way through all of this, said nothing in court and allowed me to hang out to dry. Dear MAGA followers, you will be and you are being hung out to dry. That is how this works. The tyrants use you. They use you up. They manipulate you for their own purposes, for their own game, and then they leave you. And they leave you to pick up the pieces. They take everything they can, and they leave us with nothing. Nothing but each other. Nothing but this own path to rediscovering your own truth, your own integrity. We are left with ourselves. We are left with each other. And if we listen, and if we begin to face the mistakes that we made, to admit the mistakes we have made, to admit how we gave up our power to someone who never deserved to have it. If we begin to do that, there is a path back to your own integrity, back to the truth, back to a life of integrity and promise. The sooner you start, the sooner you see this, the better it will be for you. Donald Trump never had any answers for you, and he certainly does not have them now. This is an invitation for you to go back to the source, your own source, to find those answers for yourself. I had to do this. You can do this. It's okay to make mistakes. There are consequences, but in the end, it's okay, and the depth of learning that can come from that is profound. I invite you and offer from my own experience to start this self-reflection, to start looking at the lies that you have been told, and the lies that you have taken in, and the lies you have spread to others, to take back your life from someone who never deserved your life or your power. Thank you for listening. All the best to you. Best to you. Good luck as you reclaim your life, your integrity, and your human power. Thank you.